It is your Thursday daily delivery. I am Michael Rand. Happy to be back for another day. Hope everybody's having a great day out there today and a very good show coming up for you. Velle E. Neal III from the Star Tribune joins me here in a little bit. We talk through a few things. Ben Johnson and the Gophers men's basketball team, they are on a roll. What does that mean for the program? What does that mean for his future? Velle and I will talk about that here in just a little bit. Wild or Wolves? Who do you have more confidence in this season when it comes to winning a playoff series? We'll get into that. We disagree pretty strongly on that question. And we'll get into Total Golf Live. Been watching a little bit of this, not seeking it out, but finding it on TV when I've been doing workouts and stuff like that. This new indoor golf league concept. I don't really care for it, but Velle and I will talk about that here in just a little bit. Some NBA stuff towards the end of this next segment. First, though, what I miss. Gopher women's basketball team. We had Kent Youngblood on the show on Wednesday to preview a big game for the Gophers. Not like a powerhouse top 25 kind of contest, but one of those games where they just couldn't afford to lose. They had lost, I think, 5 out of their previous 6. They were 7-8 in the Big Ten going into Wednesday night's game at Purdue. Purdue, not a good team, towards the bottom of the Big Ten. I think just a couple of Big Ten wins this season, but they've been playing better lately. And so basically it boiled down to this. Gophers came into the game, I think, 33rd in the net ratings, still in the tournament field, NCAA tournament field, according to a lot of projections. And yet it felt like the kind of game where if you win, you solidify that, but you're not going to gain a whole lot, but you're going to solidify it. If you lose, a lot of damage could be done because then all of a sudden you're 7-9 in the Big Ten. You'd have to win your last 2 games just to get to level in the Big Ten at the end of the year. Then you have to probably do some work still in the conference tournament if you weren't able to do that. So the stakes were pretty clear for the Gophers. Not that there was more to lose than there was to gain, and those are kind of hard games to play. To their credit, they took care of business. They beat Purdue 74-61. Grace Grachalski and Sophie Hart were the story. Kent writing in the Star Tribune. They scored 49 of the Gophers' 74 points. Only missed 7 shots out of the 26 they took combined, and really took control of the game starting late in the first half and into the second half as the Gophers pulled away, won by 13. So now they got 20 wins. They're 8-8 in Big Ten play. So there's the path to the NCAA tournament now. They've got Washington coming up a week from now because they don't play this weekend. They get a long rest, a chance to scout Washington, a chance to get better, get ready for that game. Win that game, you get to 21 wins. You guarantee yourself of no worse than a 9-9 finish in the Big Ten. I think their last game is against Michigan State, a very good team, so that will be more of a challenge. But winning this one was essential just because of where they stand in the picture, where they stand in the race to get into the NCAA tournament. And folks, it's been a while since they were in the NCAA tournament. They have not been in the NCAA tournament since 2018, the last year of the Marlene Stallings era. So that is quite a trip. Lindsay Whalen had 5 years with the Gophers. They never made it any of those years. One of those years was a COVID year, but they probably weren't going to make it that year anyway. They made it to the WNIT a few times since then, including last year where they were WNIT runners-up. So certainly they've played meaningful basketball, but they haven't been in the NCAA tournament since 2018. And before that, the last time was 2015. Before that, the last time was 2009. So we're talking about 3 trips to the tournament in the last 15 seasons. That's not a great record. They need to start making regular appearances in the NCAA tournament again. So Wednesday night's game went a long way towards doing that. Again, more that they avoided a disaster than that they solidified something special. But if they can get some better wins, they don't have a lot of great wins this season, but if they can pick up one of these next 2, you got to feel pretty good about the position that they are in. Sliding over to the NBA, one of my favorite things that I've seen lately, a video of Anthony Edwards and a bunch of modern NBA stars, a lot of veterans, Joel Embiid, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, a lot of guys who have been around for a while, and former President Barack Obama. They're just like in this kind of like reception area, having some post-game situation. I can't tell exactly what the scenario is, but Obama comes up to Ant. He's like, "Hey, I've heard this. I heard you're all right. I heard you're pretty good." And Ant says, "I'm the truth." Says it to former President Barack Obama. He's got no qualms about basically setting the record straight with, a man who used to be, for lack of a better word, the most powerful person in the world, right? The Ant comes up to him, no fear, not that he's not deferential, but just says no fear, says I'm the truth, and he asks for, he's basically just right in that space, and that is part of the reason you have to believe in the Wolves. Now, I think some of Ant's confidence is not earned quite yet, not to the extent that he sees it, but you've got to have that confidence. It's almost like the tech industry. It's almost like the fake it until you make it mentality. Not that Ant is faking it. He's having a good year. He has risen to a certain level. He was, all NBA last season. He has risen to a certain level, but he is not on par yet with obviously a LeBron James or a Kevin Durant. He does not have their career accomplishments. He's not on a Joel Embiid level, I would say, even yet. He's not been in that MVP conversation just yet, not on a serious level, but he wants to get there. He believes he belongs in that category. And so if you tell him, "Hey, I heard you're pretty good," even if it's just kind of like an offhand remark, he is going to set the record straight. So you got to watch the whole thing. He's like asking LeBron, asking Kevin Durant to back him up, stuff like that. It's tremendous. I'll probably write about that later today as well. Just some of the confidence of Ant and what that means for the Wolves going forward. So that struck me as interesting, and just how he believes in himself to take the last shot, even if there's that stat 0 of 12 in the last 5 seconds when he has a chance to put his team ahead or tie the game. And a lot of those are hard shots, right? Like a lot of those are like double team, long threes, things like that. Those are not the highest percentage shots. He's never going to stop taking those shots. In that span, I think the only other guy with more misses without a make is LeBron James. So that tells you something. It tells you how hard it is to make it, the confidence you have to believe the next one is going in. And if Ant is going to get to that next level, it's going to take that confidence, even if he hasn't fully earned it yet. Speaking of the Lakers, by the way, everybody was giddy when they got Luka Doncic. They won their first game in a blowout. Since then, going into the All-Star break, they lost to Utah, an ugly loss. They played a makeup game. Obviously, it was because of a rescheduled game because of the wildfires from January. They played a game last night, even though most teams aren't off break until tomorrow. Played a game last night against Charlotte. When I went to bed, they were up like 12 at halftime. I'm like, well, Charlotte's terrible. I'm sure the Lakers are going to win this game. Charlotte beat them in L.A. 100-97. Luka didn't shoot the ball well. They're still figuring this out, Luka and LeBron. So basically, they've lost to two of the worst teams in the NBA coming into and out of the break. So anybody who was like, well, now that they've got Luka, watch out for the Lakers, got to tap the brakes on that. They are not a great team right now. They tried to beef up their size at the deadline too, but they had a trade that got, bounced back because of a failed physical. They are not a complete team right now. Maybe they're going to figure this out. I would not bet against LeBron and Luka in the playoffs, but right now, the Lakers are not that strength of a team, not that strong of a team that you would think they are, and it showed coming out of the break on Wednesday night. It is daily delivery debate time with Velle E. Neal III. Joins me a lot on Thursdays. Velle, how are you?
I'm doing swell. How are you?
I'm good. Nobody's playing this week, at least the pro teams aren't, but I was still able to find three of what I hope are pretty juicy topics, and you've agreed to these topics, so we might as well get to it. Number one, Velle, Gopher men's basketball. They're on a little bit of a heater right now. They swept the LA games, which I think only Michigan had done this season. That tough kind of, you go out, you play UCLA and USC while you're out there, and they swept them, including the big comeback win against UCLA on Tuesday night. Where does that put them? Where does that put Ben Johnson in your estimation for future talks?
Yeah, that's my column for tomorrow. I thought after the USC victory, I thought that was enough to prove that the program wasn't crumbling under Ben, and that any thoughts of regime change should be just a thought and not enacted upon. The team has gotten better, and it was bad. I was just looking at the record; they were 0-6 in the Big Ten at one point, and I think everybody was wondering, okay, where is this headed? What is Coyle going to have to do about this at the end of the year? They have gone 6-3 since then. I want to say
6-3 since then. Yes,
and won 4 road games during that. Winning on the road in the Big Ten is not easy. Even if you're playing at Rutgers or Northwestern or something like that, it's not easy. Good teams have problems winning on the road. So quite an achievement. And then the last two, I had to go look it up. Michigan State, I don't know who they must have just lost to. Michigan State's first 2 conference losses were on that LA trip when they lost to USC and UCLA.
Okay.
It's not easy going in there and coming out with 2 wins, especially the way the Gophers won. They were down by 10 points in the second half against USC and 17 at one point against UCLA and came back. And so they're showing a toughness, a mental toughness, determination to make tough shots, and guys step up enough to help Dawson Garcia kind of not have to carry the load all the time. They get
Patterson made huge plays.
Yeah, Luka Patterson's make big plays. Mitchell's make some big shots. The front line, bringing in Mitchell and a couple of bigs, they come in once in a while and able to pull down enough rebounds to keep things going. So it's working right now. It's not out of the question. They could finish 500 in the Big Ten. And as I pointed out in my column for tomorrow, we have to remember that the Gophers were predicted to finish last in the Big Ten this year. Last. And if the last place team ends up being around 500, or even if it's 9-11, that's quite an achievement, I think. I'm not saying that Coach of the Year, the program's heading in the right direction. If anything, this proves that if Ben had some NIL money to keep some guys or to bring in a couple guys that where he could take this program.
I agree with these things. When they were 0-6, I was like, is this team going to win a Big Ten game this year? So obviously being 6-3 since that is a huge accomplishment. My question, though, my problem with this is, when they were 0-6, we were like, well, what's Mark Coyle going to do? Well, what the message was at that point was, well, he doesn't have to do anything until the end of the season. Let's see how this plays out. So let's also see how this plays out over the last 5 regular season games. They've shown they can beat pretty much anybody. They got 4 quad 1 wins. They've got 3 quad 2 wins. Like nobody else where they are in the net has that many good wins. Like they've had a lot of good wins this year. They've also had a lot of bad losses, so they can lose to anybody as well. My problem is, like, from a program building standpoint, I don't disagree at all that he's done a good job coaching this particular team and that he was put in a bad spot because of all the transfers, because of where the NIL is. My big question is, like, where is this headed? Why? What evidence do we have that it's going to get any better? And so that's still the thing that gives me pause, where you could be Mark Coyle and you could say, look, we need to do something different. And I'm not arguing for that. I'm not arguing that Ben Johnson's the problem. I'm saying this program is kind of stuck in a rut right now, and I'm not convinced that Ben Johnson is the guy to get them out of that rut, even if it's not a rut of his own making entirely.
Well, it sounds like he's got a decent class coming in next year. He's got a couple, 2 4-star kids coming in?
Yes.
Or something like that. He needs building blocks, because you're not going to be able to sustain success if you're bringing in 5th and 6th year college players. They come in for 1 year, so you can get away with yelling and screaming at them because they're not going to pout and leave. They got to bring some guys in and develop. It's great to bring in veterans, but it's better to have your players grow old together. In college basketball, and so I'm looking at guys like the kid Azuma from Cherry. Yeah, a guy they can move forward with, and a couple other underclassmen if they can develop, and then have this class come in. He's got to stack decent classes. NIL is tough. he's got to make a decision. Do I use it to keep guys I want to keep? Do I use it to get better freshmen? He was fortunate that Dawson could have went a lot of places this offseason. He stayed.
Correct.
So he's got to figure out a route here. Revenue share is coming to college sports next year. Right. It'd be nice to get an NIL bump as well, but he's got to stack recruiting classes and try to keep guys. I mean, no one saw Pharaoh Payne leaving. No one saw Elijah Hawkins. No one knew who Elijah Hawkins was. He came from Howard. He wasn't even recruited. And he comes in, he second in the nation in assists, and poof, he's gone to Lubbock. How do you guard against that? You got to keep bringing in decent kids and hope that you have a few willing to stick around and not have to chase the bag. Yeah,
I get all that. I'm still concerned about long-term fit, long-term vision, stuff like that. But where we find definite common ground is the job he has done with this particular team is beyond impressive because, again, they were 0-6 in the Big Ten. I didn't know if they were going to win a game in the Big Ten. I was like 0-20 is on the table, and now they're 6-9. And you're right, their next two games, I believe, are against Penn State and Northwestern. Both of those are home games. Opportunity to perhaps win both of those games. You can see them getting to 8 or 9 wins easily. Now, you're right, it's not out of the question that they get to 500 in the conference. They're almost definitely going to play in the conference tournament now. Yeah. There might be some postseason play for them beyond that. Almost certainly not the NCAA tournament.
Maybe a tough out in the conference tournament because they're the team that you don't want to have a bad day against. They got to play at North Wisconsin before the season's over. That's going to be a tough one. Rutgers, record-wise, doesn't look great, but I think they just got their best player back. That's going to make them a little bit tougher. And I can't believe I can't remember who the last game is against.
Nebraska, I think. They've got Nebraska.
You're right. It's Nebraska. So I can see them winning 3 games, maybe 4 if they get a couple breaks, and then, but at least the fact that they're even in this stage, this part of the Big Ten conference standings, speaks to what they've accomplished this year.
Yes, like a month ago, Ben Johnson being gone almost felt like a foregone conclusion, and now we're having a much different conversation, Lavelle. Let's shift that conversation, though, to question number 2. You wrote about this a few days ago. I'm asking you right now, who has a better chance to win a playoff series this year, the Wild or the Wolves?
Well, the way the Wolves are going right now, they would be in a play-in zone, right? To get into the
they're still more likely than not to be a top 6 seed based on kind of the projections and their schedule getting easier. But yeah, right now I think they're still 7.
We don't know when Julius Randle's coming back. It still looking uneven. For every glorious victory they have against Oklahoma City, they have a clunker against a disheveled
Bucks
squad that was down a couple key players. They come out after the break with back-to-back games against OKC, and their schedule does get easier. But I'm going Wild. The Wild have been able to win without Kaprizov. They've been able to win despite adversity. The young core continues to step up for this team. That's Boldy and that's Faber. You're going to have some other guys. I keep hearing that as soon as the college hockey season's over, Steve Wienum is going to be on the Wild roster. It's like a slam dunk. They found other people to score. Marco Rossi's been tough, and Gustafson's having a bounce back year. The 4 Nations finish. We're just going to ignore that. Right. But I think the Wild are going to be in a better spot right now. I believe they are 6 in the West. I think
maybe even better. Yeah, they've been pretty good. They were pretty good.
Higher than that. So I like their chances again through the first round of the postseason. And we'll see the trade deadline's coming up now.
Yes.
Man, we'll see if Billy Guerin has something up his sleeve. I really will like their chances if they can add some size. It seems like every year we get into the postseason with the Wild and we keep saying, man, I wish the Wild were just a little bigger, and maybe it's the time to go find someone with size to help them out, help the cause here. So, but I just like the fact that they have developed an attitude. They've adapted to John Hines' system, and they're able to be competitive despite not having one of the top 15 players in the league on the ice with them.
I agree with that, but I'm going to go Wolves on this. answer just because here's what I think. I think the Wild have overachieved to this point this season, and the Wolves have underachieved to this point in the season. But I think the Wolves are showing a little bit of signs of progress. I think they have the possibility of peaking at the right time. While I wonder if the Wild have already peaked, I think the Wild, I don't necessarily trust them in a playoff series. I don't know if they're going to get, 6 or 7 good games out of Philip Gustafson in a playoff series. I don't know if he's I don't know if he's going to steal you a game necessarily in the playoffs. He might, but I'm just saying I like the possibility of the Wolves getting into a 6 seed and getting somebody like Houston or even Memphis in the first round of the playoffs and being not afraid of that team at all because they've got more playoff experience certainly than Houston, and they could be an ascending team at that point if you've developed all these guys that give you depth, and then you get Randall back, you get DiVincenzo back. Conley was playing better until he was out for a while. I strangely enough, I trust them more in a playoff series right now than I would the Wild. I don't think it's a slam dunk that either one of them advance. It's not even a slam dunk that either one of them make it to the playoffs because both of them could backslide. But I like the Wolves over the Wild at this point.
I've enjoyed seeing Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr. get on the court.
Yeah.
It's because both have been effective. TJ in particular. It's hard for me to call Terrence Shannon Jr. TJ, but I guess it's his nickname.
Okay.
For T Jr.
You call what you want. You go back with him in Illinois. You go back to Illinois, so you can call him what you want. He's been really good in a lot of these games. Yeah, because the thing I like he brings to the Wolves is that watching him in Illinois, he gets out on the wing, he drives a basket, and he finishes. And he could finish, and he could be a threat on the break. Great in transition for them. I think he could help them that way. But my thing is, both the Wild and the Wolves have played roughly 68% of their schedule. Yeah.
What are the chances that you can change who you are once you get to this point? That's my concern with the Wolves.
I think that's a fair concern. I think they are getting better, though. I think you look at them and you say this is a better team than they were at the start of the year. Some of the things that they were doing poorly, the inconsistency is maddening, but they do play up to the competition again. So I don't know. For whatever reason, I trust them more. I think they have more talent than the Wild. And sometimes I'll take a team that's underachieved because I think they have another gear. I don't know that the Wild have another gear once they get to the playoffs, even if they do, in fact, get Kaprizov back healthy.
But if your clutch is broken, you're not going to get to that next gear.
No. Let's go to the last one. This is kind of out of left field, but I watched a little bit of Total Golf Live finally for the first time. This week, a couple different times it was on when I'm, doing workout at the gym. I'm like, okay, I've heard about this. What is this exactly? You basically a golf teams simulator, and you got like teams, and you're doing like almost like a skins game kind of format, a match play kind of format where you're winning the hole and holes carry over, stuff like that. It seems so contrived. It doesn't seem bad so much as it is unnecessary. I don't understand why we needed this. What is your opinion on Total Golf Live?
Well, it's better than watching pickleball. I'm going to say
that is food praise, Lavelle. It's like that's what I said to my wife the other day when we were on the elliptical side by side. I'm like, look at this. This is like one step up from televised cornhole.
Exactly. Cornhole was on that list too. The Gaelic games would be on that list as well. Yes. I would rather watch I would watch TGL over.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm going to sit there and watch the entire show. If it's on while I'm doing something else, I'll leave it on. Thumbing through the TV and it's on, I'll take a look at it for a little bit and move on. I'm kind of that way with Unrivaled too. I think it's awesome that the league has gotten a start up there. It's great that it allows American female basketball professionals to not have to worry about going over to Europe to play.
Yep.
And I guess Nafisha Collier won the 101 bid.
Yeah, she's been great.
Yeah, she's been fantastic. But that's in the group with the Total Golf League for me. I guess Tiger made a mistake yesterday and I don't know, did he play someone else's ball or something? I don't know what he did.
I don't know. I don't need to watch a washed up Tiger Woods hit into a computer screen. I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. I don't know.
Well, I want to see Tiger back on a regular course. I'm sorry, condolences over the loss of his mother. I was really looking forward to seeing him compete in the Genesis, just to see where his golf game is. Some people say he's finally cut down on his swing, and that they think that may help him in the long haul. But I want to see it for sure. But I don't want to see it in the TGL league, guys are forcing themselves to be demonstrative and emotional. Tom Kim acting like he just won the lottery after making a big putt yesterday. I'm stunned by the cavalcade of stars that are sitting in the stands. Serena Williams has been at a game. I thought there was Arthur Blank in the audience yesterday, and I'm like, what's going on? And now I'm making it sound like I've watched every week. I haven't. I've watched.
You seem like a fan. You're kind of a super fan.
I'm not trying to become the Brian Windhorst of the TGL golf. But I have looked at it a little bit.
I think there is an opening there for someone to become a TGL expert, because I don't know. It's harmless, right? It's fine. It's just seems like, did we need this? There's like a million golf courses out there where you could watch them do the real thing. Like, I get it. Like, it seats like 1,500 people. It's like a different kind of viewing experience. You get the stars in there. Most of them are probably like investors in the team, because they showed like CC Sabathia the other day, and he's an investor in the New York team, which wasn't doing very well in the game. I know they were doing well. They were clobbering the Florida team that Tiger Woods is on. I don't know. It's fine. It's just like you hit it into a simulator until you get to the green, then you play a real green, and everyone's just watching it. It's like, I don't know. It feels fake to me. It's a made up, contrived, made for TV kind of thing. It just kind of bothers me that they've decided this has to be something they're putting on TV for us.
My guess is that because all of a sudden golf simulators are being available for regular purchase like ever before. I wonder if these guys have a stake in that proliferation.
I don't know.
You can put a simulator in your garage now. Every building has one. Our building downtown has a simulator in it.
Right.
I wonder if this is part of some elaborate money-making scheme.
Maybe. You could always hit golf balls into your garage. It's just now you could probably set it up a little bit better. Just put a big backdrop, just a big foam cushion, and then you could hit your golf ball into the garage. But I don't know. I'm not mad about it. I'm not like this must go. I'm just like it feels unnecessary to me. So I don't know. We'll see. They're going to play some games soon, Lavelle, so we'll have probably more to talk about and dissect next week. Wolves get back up into action. Wild as well. NFL Combine will be here before we know it, so plenty more to come. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Be well.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Watch your dreams and savings grow with Royal Credit Union's 4.25% annual percentage yield 12-month certificate. Open now at any Royal office or online at rcu.org/certificate saver. Early withdrawal penalties could reduce earnings and principal. APY accurate as of 2/1/25. Insured by NCUA.
Great stuff from Lavelle. Always appreciate having him on Thursdays. Disagreed a little bit on that Wolves and Wild subject. I think we disagree considerably on Ben Johnson as well, but we'll see how those situations shake out down the road. Let's finish with the cooler. I just had this thought over the last couple days. Everybody keeps comparing Sam Darnold to Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith, right? Like two guys who were high draft picks, or who had some potential, flamed out in their initial spots, landed in a good place, and then got paid to a certain degree. Kind of life in the second team, became good quarterbacks in the NFL, provided stability to their teams. That's not what the Vikings should aspire for, though. I think their sights are set higher than that. If you look at the last 5 seasons combined of Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith, you've got 3 9-8 seasons, 2 10-7 seasons. Perfectly nice seasons. Some trips to the playoffs in there for both teams. Tampa Bay won a playoff game a couple years ago. Yes, Tampa Bay had a very good offense a year ago with Baker Mayfield, even though they lost to Washington in the wild card round during Washington's run to the NFC title game. That said, this is not what you should aspire to. This is not what you aspire to have. So anybody making that comparison for the Vikings should realize that's not their end goal. Their end goal is not to go 9-8, 10-7 every year. If they wanted to do that, they probably would have kept Kirk Cousins around till the very bitter end, because that's what Kirk Cousins was really good at. They have a higher ceiling. They have a higher ceiling in mind than that. And yes, they did go 14-3 last year with Sam Darnold. Guess what? That was when Sam Darnold was making $10 million. He's making a lot more in the upcoming season. You would have to be right about every single free agent again just to be in that territory if you kept him. Just don't think that's the way they're going to go. Just one more way of looking at it. I don't think they aspire to be in that territory. They aspire to be much more than Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, 9 or 10 wins every season. That will do it for me today. Like I said, plenty of good stuff coming up the rest of the week. John Marthaler expected to join me Friday to talk Loons soccer. Minnesota United season starts on Saturday. Wolves revamp their season again Friday. Wild play this weekend. We're finally going to have some games, other games to watch, some pro games, stuff like that. So until then, I am Michael Rand, back at it again tomorrow.